Hi, good afternoon, Marcus. Welcome to Leader Speak series.
Hi, Koma. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
So, the first question which I'll be asking is I think this is very close to your heart. Uh,
Yeah.
it's like, tell us about your career so far and how you came to be country manager at TADA.
Okay. With the working experience of 20 years, I try to squeeze everything to 2 minutes. Yeah. So that I don't waste your time. Okay. So basically, I started a little bit background on myself. I started my career in the hotel industry, right? I worked there for about 13 years altogether. Yeah. But of course, I went out for a while. I came back, I was in insurance as well. I was doing insurance for 3 years as a full-time insurance agent. And at the same time, also, I was doing part-time because I felt that insurance is not something that I want to do, but because of the commitment with my existing customers, so I extended until another 5 years. Then after that, I actually came back to hotel industry again, working with the industry that I like, personally like, but somehow or other deep inside myself, I think that I want to do something different. After 13 years in the industry, I want to do something different. And coincidentally, during that time, there was this company called Kelly Services, a recruitment firm,
Yes.
actually called me, and asked whether I'm interested to manage them. Well, without even thinking twice, I said, let's do it, right? Because I'm really, really dying to get out from hotel for a while, because being a general manager is not really my ultimate goal. So I said, okay, let's give it a try without knowing anything. Then after 2 times of interviews, that I got a job. In Kelly's Services, actually managing the contingent workforce. I was the consulting manager who's actually managing the central regions, all this contingent workforce, right? So these are consists of the part-time workers, consists of contract workers, and so on and so forth, right? And also we do some other people as well. Right. From there, and of course, the fact that I gained some knowledge in terms of recruitment, I fell in love with it. Something I like about it is you're able to help people get job, you help people to get back on their feet and things like that. I kind of like the idea, but unfortunately, it's very much like a hotel. It's very traditional, so they are not really using a lot of technology. They are not really embracing the technology. So this is the part that I think maybe there's something that I can do. So I started my own startup. It's called JobWorks. What I did in my startup is basically we are the recruitment platform. We are a recruitment platform, but what we do is very different from the rest of the company that they like JobStreet and so on and so forth. So what we do is we are focusing only on the gig economy, which is the part-time workers, right? Which you're talking about part-time jobs, gigs job. You're talking about like photography, event crew, and so on and so forth. So I had a great time in that startup. We were doing okay, and and the first year itself, we actually did 1.15 million sales, and
Wow.
our customer are big. Yeah, our customer are big. We are talking about the touch and go digital. We are dealing with Oyo, Settle, mainly those startup,
Yeah.
corporate startup that we're actually working with them. So it's a lot of fun, and we work with a lot of people like ST Lauder as well, this company. So it's fun. But and then after a while, I know like any other startup, right? They need to get funds. They need to go out and pitch and get funds. I think unfortunately this is not the part that I'm good at, right? Because I think getting funds is not that easy. I'm more into like looking into business, managing the whole thing. But unfortunately, the second year itself, times are tough, right? Times are tough for us, and the COVID again is also another sad part that happened to us, to our country, that we are not able to continue the business, right? And in the meantime, basically what I did was actually do quite a number of consultation job. I actually help businesses to go online because it's really MCO, right? So there's a time that we actually consult a company that help them to from offline, they go online, help them to set up the social media and things like that. So it was fun. It was fun. And coincidentally, during that time also, because of the fact I was in startup, right, I have an investor, right? One of the investors actually asked me, they say, why don't we meet up and speak. So I met up with her, and then we had a chat, and then she asked me, what do you want to do, right? Well, since you're going to put your startup on dormant for a while, so what are you going to do? I say, I don't mind to go back to workforce, preferably in startup, because I really, really like startup ever since that, right? So then maybe from there, I'll come back again if I get some more inspiration, a better product, a better idea in my startup. Say, okay. Then she actually helped me, and that's where I got into TADA.
I see.
It was last year. It was last year, sometime in the month of August. Yeah, yeah. And until now, I'm almost about 12 months, almost 12 months with TADA.
Wow, congratulations
Thank you, thank you, thank
for
you.
your work anniversary. Great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun.
Yeah. So it's great. Yeah, your 20 years of experience. Yeah. So I think you might have learned a lot of things, from insurance agent, from
Yeah,
into, hotel industry, and you
that's
worked with
correct.
recruiting agency, and then yeah. So I think you are a man, with all technology driven thinking and all.
Go crazy. Suddenly, I become like so into technology. I don't know why. The calling, I guess this is the calling. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. Great. So after understanding about your career path, what I got to know is you love startups.
Really,
Like
I really like startup building things from scratch.
yeah, and you like to take challenges because startup means challenges, you have to build everything from your own. So
Exactly. Working with people, getting know new people, learning something that I will never be able to learn in the hotel industry. If I'm still in the hotel industry, I don't think so. I will have that much of experience.
yeah, great. Good to know that. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you are working in a lot of industries and a lot of technology, so what is a typical work day for you like?
Okay, so let's talk about now, yeah, because if you're talking about in TADA itself, as a country manager, what I do is I do a lot of partnership, right? I speak a lot with the channel partners. The fact that we are not able to meet and then to negotiate or things like that. So most of the time, what I do is I always set up a call. I set up a call with them to tell them what are the things that we're able to do, right? What are the things that we're going to go to the market together, right? And these channel partners are typically from the POS system, those table ordering system, digital marketing agencies, and so on and so forth. So we will talk to them because the fact that to me now is there's a lot of collaboration needed, right? I have the technology, they have the customer. Some of it, I have the customer, they have the technology. So this is where we collaborate a lot, right? Then, of course, the second thing is that the fact that as a country manager, I also manage the sales. I do speak to our clients. I speak a lot with those enterprise clients, and the fact that TADA was only actively in Malaysia market since last year, January, before I joined, but our reach is still not there yet. So what I do a lot is actually I always talk to customer and then throw them this idea and ask them whether this will work for you or not, whether that will work for you better or compared to this product and things like that. So I speak to client a lot, yeah. And of course, the fact that I have people work under me, that together with me in Malaysia office, so we will meet up daily. Yeah, we will have this daily huddle. Every morning we'll meet up, the typical Rara thingy, right? So we will play some small little game for 5 minutes. Then we'll ask also what's your activities today? So how can I come help you and things like that. And also, of course, when working with HQ is total different story. You can't do the huddle, ha ha ha, rah 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 kind of thingy, right? So what you do with them is you actually talk to them like what's the current situation in Malaysia. Of course, they can read it on newspaper or social media or whatsoever, but it will not be as accurate as me, who's actually the country manager here, right? So we talk about the recovery plan. So we talk about like how we're going to work together, how are they going to reach the customer for my end, and then so that we will be able to have, the connection with the customer where you will not have the communication barrier. Although bahasa Indonesia and bahasa Malaysia is very similar, but sometimes you might still not get the jargon here and there, right? And so that's why, and also to give a customer assurance that you're not worried, you're not just dealing with overseas company, we have a local presence as well, and we even register a company over here, right? And last but not least, the fact that I myself is actually new in this customer retention program. I do reach out a lot in LinkedIn. So I reach out with business owner, marketing people, director of sales, CEOs, right, to link with them to share some idea and on mainly and how are we going to sustain the business during this pandemic. So this basically what I'm doing now. So when people tell you working from home, it's easy, you can have time to click on the remote, watch
Is
Netflix.
it?
Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of doing that.
Oh, true. So you have, mentioned partnerships and all. So
Yeah.
do you also, talk to investors,
Okay.
who want to invest
I
in
would
some?
say I'm quite, I mean, TADA is actually quite fortunate. We are quite, I would say, okay, we are quite okay in terms of financially. We are still, a lot of startups are not hiring, but for us, even during this pandemic, we're still hiring because we have, financially, we are stable. That's one thing. And second thing, 2 months ago also, we just recently received funding from a Japanese listed company. I'm not
Wow.
gonna tell you now because we're gonna launch it. We have a PR doing all this thing. Then you'll be able to see it in the social
Oh,
media.
wow. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
Congratulations once
yeah.
again. I think
Thank you
in
so
this call,
much.
a lot of congratulations for you.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah.
I
So,
understand, I understand. I was excited as well when the HQ told me, we got this fund ready, you know.
wow. Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Good to know.
Yes.
Good to know that. Good.
Yep.
So, uh, like, nowadays, many people, many companies have been hit badly, due to pandemic. So,
Yes,
how
of
would you
course.
describe the current business environment in Malaysia?
Well, if you ask me, I think is bad. But one thing, although it's bad, in Chinese we all believe whatever things happen, no matter how bad it is, there's still a group of people who's actually making money from that, right? I think we
Yeah.
all Chinese will believe in this, right? So if you're talking about those industry that is not doing well, right? F&B, retail, hospitality, education, event management, these are all the dying one. These are at the downfall. But on the other hand, those people who's actually in logistic, technology, e-wallet, healthcare, food manufacturing, and even some digital marketing company are doing well, right? So it just depends on which vertical you are at, which industry you are at, and yeah, I mean there are people who actually suffer. Although majority, I do understand majority of the people are suffer, but there are also quite a number of industry that are still doing well. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because whenever I go through LinkedIn, news and everything, all
fair.
companies are saying hiring, we are hiring. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
pandemic is there, but yeah, hiring is still there,
Correct,
which is good
correct.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, but the hiring, I can really relate to that because now, although there are quite a number of retrenchment, right? Some declare in openly, some did not, right? But they are also hiring. But now their hiring is no longer like those days. Right? Those days, maybe you hire one person to do one job, but now you hire one person, probably you do have to do 2 to 3 persons job. But end of the day, we still think that if you are hired, you still have a job, it's considered a blessing as well, right? So yeah, depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Good to know that. Yeah. So, what are the biggest benefits for companies to enter the post-pandemic world?
Well, I see. Well, if you ask me, I think those that are going to come in after the pandemic, I think congratulations to you, right? If let's say you are a very tech savvy company, right? Market is really ready to adopt technology, right? They know really the e-wallet, they need the e-wallet, they need the system, they need the retention program, loyalty program, they need a lot of things. So if let's say you're in that industry, I think some rather you're safe, right? And for those bigger companies that really have a good loyalty program or CRM, they will continue to excel. This is what I think, yeah, personally.
Yeah. And I also believe if the companies who will be entering post-pandemic, they have already gone through all the do's and don'ts
Yeah,
from the current
exactly.
pandemic. Yeah.
Correct. For a company that are able to sustain almost 1.5 years to 2 years, if things get worse, right? 2 years,
Yes.
I salute them, man. I really, really salute them. They are really, really doing well because I don't think any normal company will be able to sustain such pandemic in 2 years time if they, let's say, they don't adopt technology and things like that.
That's true. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So, what are the key goals for Tata in the market in 2022?
So basically, TADA has a very specific goal they wanted to do, right? We are affected by pandemic, but we are not entirely worried, right? Not that much, not to brag about it, but we understand our core things that we need to do from Malaysia level, Malaysia market itself is actually the product validations, right? We want to validate two product basically over here. The first one, of course, the core product, which is the customer retention platform, whereby we empower businesses to have their own loyalty program. The second one that the new product that we are about to launch, basically, Kamal, you are the first person who listened on this live, yeah.
Wow.
So
Thank you so
we
much.
have not really launched it yet, right?
Wow.
So it's actually we call it Perksoft. This is something to do with HR, right? Because another thing that we realize, whatever happening in the market is employer and also brands or companies wanted to engage more with their good employees, right? Those that are not performing, I'm sure by now they have been retrenched, has been asked to leave and things like that. But those that are good need constant motivation, need constant care, right? So that's why we have these perks of that we are actually focusing on you engaging with your employees. How are you going to engage with them better? How are you going to reward them better? And how are you going to build a stronger bond, even though you're not physically there? Right? Because let's like it or not, right? Even next year or so, what we foresee is there will still be maybe 50% work from home, 50% work in the office. That will be the situation, right? So on the second thing is, of course, in Malaysia level also, our focus is very into the MLE, which is we call the medium large enterprise, right? Last quarter itself, I mean, today is almost the end of this quarter. We wanted to go into SME, right? We wanted to go to SME and micro SME because we understand this is the bigger market, which is actually 70-80% of the business have come from SME. But unfortunately, I think the acceptance levels are still very low. So I think that, yeah, it's still very low. I think we can understand because the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen, what's going to relief the government's going to help them and things like that. So they are putting everything on hold. But on the other side, on the other hand, the bigger company, the MLE, right? If even you're talking about F&B or retail or cosmetic, they're actually looking into this. They're looking into how to build stronger bonds, create more engagement with their existing customer. Because I always believe you need to create a community. You want to create a friendship with your customer, then they will stick into you, right? So this is what the bigger enterprise is working on, and we are focusing in that market as well, right? On the higher level, which is the Indonesia, which is our HQ, same thing. We were going to do the validation of the perks of, which I mentioned earlier, and also we also want to work with our top 20 clients that is still growing, and they're actually in the financial institution, FMCG, and those clinic, which are doing so well. We want to work with them again, and hopefully we'll be able to grow another 15% from this top 20 customer, right? And another important part is, as I said earlier, we can't be alone, right? We can't go into the war alone. So we always look for integration, work with partners. And that is what from Indonesia level and also Malaysia level, we are looking at. We're working with more partners. So whoever we meet, that so long that you'll be able to do a plugin, to do integration, we are more than happy to work with you.
Very nice. So your focusing market is Indonesia right now, basically.
Indonesia, we have a big team, right? From Malaysia, myself is only focusing in Malaysia market.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Great. Good to know. Good to know. So, what advice do you have for companies that have had to change their business? How can they stay in business through the changes?
Okay. For me, those business that have changed dramatically, I would say congratulations. You're one step nearer to survive this, right? And probably you even because you excel in your business, right? Because by changing, by embracing the change, it will make you better, stronger company. Right? I give you one example. I'm not supposed to tell you name, but I have this chain restaurant, right? About 10 restaurant, 10 outlets altogether. They're doing local food, doing very well. I'm one of their fans. I always go to a restaurant, really like their food and drinks and stuff like that. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the shopping mall can't open and things like that. And some of the outlet they're supposed to launch, you have to bring it down. And then the rental from shopping malls are not giving rental, free rental, things like that. So they're suffering, right? They have no choice. So because of that, they have to close down a lot of their restaurant, probably left only one or two. And that owner himself, the CEO himself, pivot his business instead of like continuing doing delivery, which is very difficult for him, right? He actually changed it to manufacture sauce, manufacture sambal, right?
Is
His
it?
sambal is,
Oh,
yes, his sambal, because to me is I go there is because of the sambal, right? That the whole food is nicely done and just you need to small drop of sambal, then it looks, I mean, it tastes fantastic. So he knew the secret weapon. So he, instead of like continue starting a business, a retail business, so he go and actually start to manufacture. All right. So that's how he did it. And I think he's doing quite successful, yeah, now. And another company you're talking about, they actually sell chocolate in retail as well. It's the same thing. They sell chocolate in shopping mall. But in the first lockdown and during the pandemic itself, they actually sell like what? They increase their growth by 10 times, 10 times, 10 to 13 times during the first month of pandemic itself. and they're not selling cheap. They're selling the average pricing. They don't reduce the pricing. They're doing so well, right? Every day they're talking about like 100 over to 200 delivery. So it's a lot. And online tuition, we also see quite a number of
Yes.
tuition center now, right? Of course, my kids go to online tuition every day, but there are those more tech savvy type of tuition center. What they did is actually they actually develop apps whereby the children are able to study that. And if you ask me, it save costs. It save a lot of costs comparing to hiring a lot of teacher, all right, a lot of tuition teacher to teach them. Now you have apps that are able for you to conduct one so-called tuition or one session with 30, 40 people. But
Yes.
typically, you probably need 2 to 3 teachers, right? I mean,
Mm.
sorry for the teachers, lah, yeah. But as a business, I think he's quite smart that he came up with all this, right?
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, that's why I say. Well, to me, if you want to continue in the track, right? In this track, you need to embrace the changes, right?
True.
You're not able to avoid this. Let's put it this way, right? We don't know how long this is going to drag us, but if you ask me, I think maybe even next year you are still going to be suffer, right? After we finish this year,
Mm.
maybe next year we're still going to suffer, waiting for that recovery, right? The most important thing is keep your customer close, even closer now during this pandemic. Keep them even closer, and because they are the one that is going to talk about your brand, they are the one who's going to brag about you, they are the one who's actually going to sell you. So you need to engage with them more, make them feel important, and why they need to continue to support you. That's how you're able to keep your business alive, right?
True.
Because it's all word of mouth now. It is no longer by just social media advertisement. Your ads will not work anymore, right? Not as much as those days, right? So it's all about the community that we have built, right? This is my 2 cents.
True, true, true. Very, very nicely said. Because right now, see, everyone have learned from pandemic, this will work, this will not work. So if you have one product, you have a lot of people, who have developed as a technology. So you have rightly pointed out the customer to keep close, because as a customer also they have a lot of options outside right now.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so good point you have touched. Please keep close customer. And
Exactly.
or you also pointed out one point like online tuitions. So what I've observed right in these days, the tuition institutes, they have already preloaded pre the videos, pre-captured
That's
the
correct.
videos, and they just log in, and people are,
Exactly.
and the kids are just listening to pre-recorded recordings, and they are learning from them. So
Exactly. Whether they're learning or not, I don't know yet. I have to check on my kids, but I think that's the only thing you can do, right? That's the only thing you can do
yeah.
right now. And some of it is quite interactive. I saw some of the tuition center some of the syllabus that they did was quite interactive, a lot of graphic and things like that. Not like our typical days, just whiteboard, you write on it, right? And
Yeah,
things like that.
true, true, true. Yeah,
Far
yeah,
more
yeah.
interesting. Far more interesting.
True, true. That's true. That's true. So, Marcus, it was lovely, talking to you. So today, what I have after interacting to you, what I have observed is you are a very positive thinking person. Positive and smart
Thank you,
thinking
thank you.
person.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Have to
also,
like, yeah, no choice, yeah. Want to survive, right?
yeah, and the smart thinking, what I have analyzed is you have come from, from your years of experience, the from insurance agent to hotel to recruiting to your own startup, and I'm sure you have done well on industries, all industries. So, and also TADA, and also, and I'm very thankful to you, you have shared two big news with me first, for TADA also, the new
Yeah,
perks,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they are coming up. And
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was so much motivating for me, to talk to you. And yeah, so you
Great.
you have made my day,
Thank
talk.
you so much. Thank you so much.